Hello mga ka-Nanay, it's me again, Nanay Jane. And if you are a beginner in ESL teaching and you are thinking of words or phrases that you can use in your class, this video is for you. So if you want to have a list of some useful spells for ESL teaching, please stay with me until the end of this video. And if you are not yet subscribed, please consider subscribing and hit the bell button to get notified whenever I have new uploads about ESL teaching, work from home, and also parenting tips. Okay, so just like what I said earlier, I will give you some useful spells that you can use in your ESL class, most especially here in Native Camp. So for technical check, you can say, can you hear me? Can you hear me loud and clear? Can you see me? Can you see and hear me clearly? Now, you can also use TPR for kids, especially for kids. And if you can sense that the student is a beginner of the language, so you can say, or you can use total physical response, like doing, can you hear me? Or can you see me? There, okay? So on the other hand, if the student or if the technical problem is in the end of the student, you can also say, I'm sorry, but I cannot hear you. Or can you talk a little louder? Or can you please check your microphone? Or I'm sorry, but I think the line is breaking up. Or I can't hear you clearly. Or can we try to reconnect the line? And then you can also type it at the same time, especially nga if the student can't understand what you are saying. So type it in the chat box and at the same time ask those questions. So in terms of camera, here in Native Camp, it's a no-no to ask if you cannot see the student. Okay, so don't ever ask why the camera is turned off. So what's important is you can hear the student and the student can hear and see you clearly. So sometimes also, the student will choose to turn off your camera because of internet connection on his end. So it's all right. Okay, so that sometimes happens. So speaking of native camp, here we also ask the speaking speed. Okay, like we ask before we begin our lesson, can I ask you first, do I talk too fast or too slow or just right? Okay, so you can also ask that. But to be honest, I seldom do that. So what I just usually ask is, can you hear and see me clearly? And then when everything is fine, then we proceed to greetings with the words that you can say in greeting your student. Okay, so please take note that first impression lasts, right? So make the best impression, and you can do that by simply having your best smile at the very beginning. So you can say hi, hello, good morning, good evening, good afternoon. So it's very important also to know the time zone. Okay, so you have to take note of that. If it's morning, if it's evening or afternoon, and then yeah, if your student is a kid, you can also wave your hand, hi, hello. And then, but of course, if it's an adult or your student is an adult, you can just simply say hi. Then you start saying your name. My name is Jane, or my name is Teacher Jane, or I'm Jane. I'm Teacher Jane. And you are? What about you? What's your name? It's nice to meet you. It's nice to see you. Or I'm glad to see you. Or also, it's good to see you. It's nice to have you in my class. It's a pleasure to meet you. Course, you can give some compliments already, like saying, "You are very beautiful," "You are very pretty," or "You have a very beautiful name," or "You look so cute," especially if it's a student, if it's a kid. For kids, you can also ask, "How old are you?" Or if they are adults, you can also say, "How are you? How are you doing?" And then you're saying that actually while you're browsing the lesson already, especially if it's a sudden lesson. Yeah, just to, also prepare yourself for the main lesson. Okay, so it's a sort of multitasking. You're actually setting the mood of the student or of the class, while at the same time preparing yourself for the lesson itself. Okay, so for your regular students, or if it's not the first time meeting this student, you can say, "It's nice to see you again," "It's good to see you again," or "I'm happy to see you again," or "It's a pleasure to have you in my class again." What I said, your greetings or your routine will set the mood of the class. So it's very important that you give your best impression. You give your best shot right at the very beginning of your class. So you need to let the student feel that you are good, that you are friendly, that you are worth his time. So, and of course, you are worth his money. So, you need to give your best smile, and you need to be enthusiastic and maintain your smile and your energy until the end of the lesson or of your class. So, to make the student feel that you are kind and that your class has a room for mistakes, and that it's okay to make mistakes, or that it's okay if you are a beginner. When you sense that the student is very shy or has a low self-esteem, you can also say, for example, "Jane, let me remind you," you can also say, "Jane, let me remind you first that whenever you have a question or you want to clarify something, you are free to ask me. All right?" There. So, by saying that, you are letting the student feel that, oh, it's okay for me to make mistakes. The teacher is all right with that, and the teacher can correct me. So I think that's a good impression. Okay, so for transition words this time, so of course, again, you need to strictly follow the lesson flow, okay? But yeah, sometimes or most of the times, we need to we cannot just jump from one activity to another. So we need to use a lot of transition words. So what can we use? You can say, "Let's move on," or "Shall we move on to the next one?" You can also say, "Let's move, let's proceed, this time." Or if you are reading numbered words or questions, you can say, "What about number two?" Or "What about the next one?" Okay. So also, you need to, like what I said, you need to let the student feel that it's all right and they are free to ask some questions. So before jumping to the next activity, you can ask, "Do you have any questions? Is it clear? Or is it okay? Or are we good on that?" There. During the lesson, it's also very important to keep praising the student and giving some compliments. So aside from the usual "very good," you can also say, "That's great. Great job." So for kids, we can use TPR like just a thumbs up, or "Okay, perfect." Okay, so we can say, "Great job, you're doing a great job," or "That's right, that's perfect, that's correct," or "You got it, wonderful, impressive, perfect." Okay, so you can also say, "I like your sentence," or "Your idea is really impressive," or "That's nice, you got the right answer." For opinions, if they are giving opinions, you can say, I agree on you. I think that's, or I think that's right. Okay, so you can also say, you are very smart. Um, yeah, you can say, I am really impressed. Okay, now what if the student gave the wrong answer? So you all know that it doesn't feel good if you will say, oh, that's wrong. So you can, how will you say that the student is wrong? So you can say, would you like to try again? Or that is somehow correct, but, and then you give your correction. Or you can also say, that is okay, but I think this is better. Or let's try to improve your answer. So you are not saying directly that it's wrong. Okay, so don't ever say that the student is wrong. You can always say, I think we can improve that sentence, or I think this is a better one. Or yeah, so that's impressive, but we can still improve your answer. Okay, so for feedback, it's very important also, because remember that you need to make the first impression last. So how will you do that? You need to keep that first impression until the end of your class. So the last minute is as important as the first one. Okay, that you always have to remember that, because you need to give your student the feeling of satisfaction. Okay, that feeling which will make him give you a 5-star rating, and which will make him decide to take another lesson with you in the future. So of course we all want that. So how will you do that? Feedbacks, or the last minute is very important as well. So you can say, Jane, you did an impressive job during the lesson. That's one another tip that I can give you. As much as possible, mention the name of the student, because it's a different feeling when someone mentions your name, right? So it feels like you are, you are welcome, or you have a connection there. So it feels like you are really connected with the student. So you can say, Jane, you are a fast learner. Or for kids, you can say, you know what, Jane, you are such a cute and a smart kid. Or you can also say, thank you for being so cooperative today, Jane. You did a great job, especially with the dialogue, or with the role play, or with answering the question. So you can choose. Okay, you can also say, your ideas and opinions are really impressive, Jane. Or Jane, you were able to express your ideas clearly, and I like that. Okay, but of course, you also need to give like some sort of constructive criticisms. So it's not good naman to always just give positive feedbacks, kasi it's like you just executed the lesson and you are not after the learning of the student. So you have to also make that impression, or give that impression to the student, that you are really concerned about his learning, and not just for teaching the lesson. Okay, so how will you give your and at the same time, you also want to give your student something to look forward to, and something which will make him feel like he wants to take another class with you in the future. Okay, so, or better yet, book a class with you. So how will you do that? You can say, Jane, I really admire your ideas. However, I think you need to be more confident in expressing them. Okay, but of course, when you are saying, you just keep on smiling. Or you can also sometimes say, Jane, you did a very good job during the lesson, although sometimes there were mispronounced words. Or you can also say, or there were some times that you find or there were some words that you find difficult to understand, but that's all right because that's part of your learning journey. So with continuous practice, you will surely get the hang of it. Or you can also say, in our next meeting, let's try to focus more on reading the dialogue with emotions, okay? Or sometimes I also say, you sometimes get confused on the use of this and these. So next time, we'll try to study more on that, okay? There. So, you are actually giving your constructive criticism nga, but at the same time, indirectly, you want to say that you book my class or take a lesson with me again because this is what we're going to do next time. So, yun. That's another tip. Always give your students something to look forward to. Okay? And for my so there you go. And for my very last tip, although you are the teacher and obviously you must be in control of everything, but you still need to make the student feel comfortable in taking classes with you. And how will you do that? You just need to maintain a friendly tone, okay? A friendly tone and just keep your big smile always, from the very beginning up to the last one, whether the student is reading or whether you're the one reading, whatever you're doing, you just keep on smiling, okay? And whenever the student is answering or talking, you just say, okay? So you have to let the student feel that you are really very attentive also. So yun, yung attentiveness is not just for the student but also for the teacher as well. And as much as you can, say please and thank you. Kasi that's what will set the mood. You have to be friendly, you have to be respectful at the same time. So you can say, can you do this please? Or okay, thank you for that. Especially kapag adults. Yeah, so when you smile from the very beginning until the end, surely the student will also end the class smiling. And there's a higher chance that this student will give you a 5-star rating and might take another lesson with you. So of course, again, we all want that. That's our goal, okay? To get regular students and to get a 5-star rating. And you know what? It worked for me even with rude students. I tell you. I had two of them actually. The first one was really sarcastic and the second one was intimidating. But luckily, they both gave me 5 stars because I think it's because of everything I shared in this video. So, if you like this video and you find it very helpful, please click the like sign and also share it to your other ESL friends. Okay? So, thank you very much for staying with me and let's enjoy teaching and happy teaching. Bye-bye.